Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2 of the Spirit Hunters Underground podcast with your host, myself, Matt Lytle, and my co-host, the big, the bad, Chris Califf, aka Califf. What's up, dude?
Stay metal, my friends. What's up, brother? It's been a minute. How are you?
I'm good, man. I always love starting off these podcasts with the fact that I love doing these podcasts with you.
Well, I got to say that, we've talked a lot of shit to a lot of people,
Yeah.
and nobody really has the banter that we have back and forth. So I think it kind of works.
I think, and I want to know everyone's thoughts about it. I mean, clearly it's not like we have a bajillion followers.
Man, it's just, I think podcasting is first off, it's one of the coolest things you could possibly do. We could have a platform to have our really shitty opinions on things. But I mean, I can do it with my best friend, my brother. Like it doesn't get better than that. And then, I mean, sometimes you just got to have a little sip with your brother. So,
I mean, again, we're drinking every podcast. It's not what it's about, but why not kick back, have a beer, or for Califf, a shot, and talk some ghosts. Cheers.
Cheers, my guy. Anyway. Ghost hunting, generationally, from like when I started, when you were like 7. God, I'm old. And then when you started, when you were like 7, because now you're old. Like what from me is different, but what does ghost hunting mean to, like, I mean, you newer cats, guys have been doing this. I mean, granted, you don't really fall in that because you've been doing it for so long, but for that younger generation, what if I had no idea what I was doing? If I walk onto the ghost hunt, Alex, I go, how would you teach me? How would you teach me to find spirits?
That's a great face.
How would you teach me?
So first off, you don't just walk into a place. You got to know where you're going. Number one.
But do you really?
Yeah. You got to know where you're going. You got to know
What if a demon takes your tire off in the middle of the road, Matthew Lytle?
Then you probably shouldn't go to that place. And that just means you chose the right place to go. So yeah, that's number one. Ghost hunting, number one. Rule number 101, whatever you want to say. Any one you want to say. Find out where you're going. Find the history, because there's a difference. And I know people can say, oh, I want to just go into a big abandoned building and see what happens. That's not ghost hunting. That is not paranormal investigating. That is called urban exploring. That is completely different from what Califf and I do, which we do urban explore. But paranormal investigating, where you know the history, you know what entities you could potentially, run into, how you capture them, which leads to equipment. Califf, as a beginner, you know the location, you know the history, right, but you only have yourself. What are the base pieces of equipment you think somebody should have as a rookie ghost hunter?
Brand new. I mean, first off, get in tune with your senses. Get in tune with who you are, what you feel, how you see, how you perceive things. Right? You want to be able to know that you're not imagining things or hearing things, or that your eyes aren't playing tricks on you, right? So you want to know your limitations as a human being and what gifts you may or may not possess.
And that grows as your career grows as well. But you definitely have to think about that when you start. You're right.
And then, like, actual gear-wise, I mean, to get that rookie ghost hunting like gear in that first set, I mean, that's a trip to Walmart, really, if you think about it. You're going to go to the electronics aisle. You're going to get
Amazon.
One of those, or Amazon. I mean, they have ghost hunting kits preset. But you're going to get yourself a little Sony voice recorder to do your EVPs with, right? You're going to find yourself a night vision camera, whether it be video or still. You want one of those because you want audio and video evidence. I mean, ideally, you want one that helps the other. And then you're going to find something like a laser grid. You're going to find something like, if you want to get a little bit more fancy out the gate, like a spirit box. But those are the big key pieces. I mean, you can get an EMF reader. For me, it'd be a thermometer, because you want to measure cold spots.
Right.
So just simple pieces of tech like that. You don't have to get into things that are reading like, humidity and dew points and moon phases and all that stuff. Just go out there with a camera, with a good audio recorder, a flashlight.
There you go. I was going to say, you're forgetting the most important thing.
And a spirit box. And man, you're going to have a hell of a good time.
Yeah. And, some of the stuff he said might sound intimidating, but for example, a laser grid. Yeah, he's not meaning a laser grid you see at music concerts. He's talking about an actual just little pin where you press down on it and it shoots green laser grids onto a wall, and you try to capture a dark shadow through those lasers. And personally, I used to do it when I first started out, and I had some pretty good luck with it. And it's easy.
But you can always do old school things. Like, I mean, granted, here's the fun part. I'm old, right? So we have things like the
Yeah.
flower trick, right? We have things like the flower trick. So most of your activity is happening in the bedroom. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take flour, we're gonna pour it across, like by the bed, to the main walkways out to the doorway. And you're gonna see if footprints form in that, right? That way you kind of have an idea of what you're doing. Human footprints, you know, demons, or whatever have you. That's a really good one. But we also use things like bells on doors, right? So before we had those little alarms you could tag on doors, we would literally just put bells on doors. So that way, if we're in another room and we hear that bell, you're going to it.
Yeah.
And those to me are always the best things. And the last thing I'll give somebody in the ghost hunting realm that wants a really cool, cheap way to get it started, the cheapest EMF you will ever find is a compass.
Yeah.
Because when you cross a field of EMF, that compass will not be able to point true north. It'll start spinning.
Mm-hmm.
Because the EMF is taking away from the true north. It can no longer dictate what true north is. So that's not a good way to, like, some cheap kind of advice.
And no, he's not talking about the one on your phone. He's talking about an actual compass. And I want to reiterate, I love how you said audio and visual, like they complement each other. You have to have both. You can use your cell phone. You can use your cell phone and flash to take pictures or even video. It works.
All right. So you've grounded yourself. You have an idea of what you bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got your cool little ghost hunting kit, right?
Right.
You show up. What you need now, Matt?
You have everything. Now you just need the knowledge to know what the hell you're looking for. Are you looking for a door slam? Not only did a door just slam, why did it slam? Who slammed it? You got to know what piece of equipment to bring out. There's going to be nights where you're doing EVP, electronic voice phenomena, where you record, it's very quiet, and you got a bunch of voices, and none of your other equipment's working. Sometimes you're going to get your hits on your EMF detectors, but nothing else. So you got to know what you're looking for, when to look for it while you're ghost hunting.
I think that's a beautiful thing because a lot of people don't look at the lore anymore. They don't look at the claims of activity, the haunting itself. And like you said, that whole who, what, where, why, what, and how, which are important pieces. If you're going to call yourself a paranormal investigator, right? So I always called myself a ghost hunter. Now, the funny thing was I would always get, if you're a ghost hunter, could you mount a ghost on your wall? No, but I could mount your mom on my wall.
Right.
Like, it is what it is. Like, I used my senses as a human being and tools to be able to hunt down where these things were. And with my background, that's what it is. But you would think those self-proclaimed paranormal investigators would take heed to the second word in that, which is what, Matt?
Investigate.
How many people have you gone on ghost hunts with that have no goddamn clue what they're doing?
So much so that I don't just investigate with anybody anymore. I need to make sure you know your shit, and that's it. I mean, obviously, if we're doing an event and people want to come, that's great, and you're leading it, okay. But if you and I have both done this, especially the last couple of years, being on the show and stuff, investigating with these groups for fun or for an event, and they claim that they're professional, and they go in and they have all the equipment, better equipment than you and I, but they don't know what they're hunting. They have no idea what the history is. They don't know what the energy, the feeling of the it's annoying. And that's my answer. That's all I got to say before I go way off.
I think it's funny how ghost hunting looks now, because like when I first started back in the day, I mean, we had the Ed Warren approach, right? We had the audio recorder, flashlight, camera, go. Like that's kind of what we had. That's how we all started. This is long before
that's how I started.
That's long before you have 90 different EMF readers that do the same fucking thing. They just light up differently. Sorry. I just get passionate about this stuff. For me, like specifically with this, you're going to find me saying that a lot more because it definitely bothers me. Anyway, moving forward, when we first start, we have those few pieces of equipment like we talked about, but we're researching lore. Okay, what kind of a haunting is this? Woman in white? Is this, an old hag? Is this, whatever, a wraith, a banshee? All these different things that these potential hauntings could be. No, now we look at it as it's either a demon or a ghost. I remember growing up, and I mean, you had your cryptids, you had your different forms of hauntings, you had demons, you had angels, you had different spirit classifications of things. And now it's all been condensed to two. It's a ghost or it's a demon. Well, what kind of ghost is it? Well, she was very in love with her husband, and then he left, and then she killed herself and killed her kids. Well, it's a woman in white. No, it's just a ghost.
Or it's a demon.
No, that's it. Yeah, or it's a demon. No, that's
Black
a
and
woman in
white.
white. Yeah, it's a tortured human soul, born of suffering. It's a woman in white. But no, those things don't exist anymore. You talk about these things, and they reference supernatural. They reference, World of Warcraft. So lore in itself has been taken and literally shit on, and just chucked to the side. Like even demonic lore, even like if you look at like demonology, not demonology, but demonology, which is the study of demons and different demons and what they do and what days of the week and all that weird shit. They've even lost track of that now. Because now it's just a classification. Oh, it's a demon. What's his name? Oh, it's evil. It's Lucifer. Everything's Lucifer. That dude's really busy. Like he's
everywhere.
He's at your house. He's at Bobby Mackey's. He's at Eastern State. He's living at Waverly. He's a busy cat. But people don't do the lore and realize that there's a hierarchy to all of that. Now I can go on for lore for hours, and you know this.
Yes.
But I mean, I'm old school. You had this really unique thing about you that when you started ghost hunting, it was the end of that old school era coming into that new school era. So for you, how did that work for you? I mean, being able to take pieces from both.
Well, to respond to what you said, I think the reason it's gone from that to just demon and ghost are a couple reasons. One, TV shows make it just a ghost or a demon. Two, it's the uneducated, not just investigators, but writers, location scouts of, because some teams just have people who scout the locations for the paranormal team. And those people just think it's a demon or a ghost. So I think it's just the uneducated way of looking at things, the lazier, things have gotten a lot lazier. When I first started, it was coming out of what you're talking about, which I did learn a lot about and investigate it. But then this might have just been me, but I focused more on the type of haunts as in intelligent, residual. A shadow figure is not the same as an intelligent haunting. It's not the same as a portal haunting.
So you went from the idea of lore and that open book of all kinds of stuff, and then you have, it's funny because you actually reminded me there was one phase in between. So you have lore.
I was going to bring that up.
Right? Yeah, I was going
to bring up the phase between. Yeah.
Yeah, but the phase between is the four major types, right? It's the intelligent, demonic, residual, and poltergeist.
Yeah.
So it went from a book of lore to four basic types of hauntings, to which everything kind of, one had an umbrella to fit under, to literally being a demon and a ghost.
Yeah. All of what I just said and what you just brought up with adding a poltergeist, you see some sort of poltergeist haunting on your phone or TV or even in your house. What is it? It's a demon. And that's what we're talking about, is it's automatically something evil. When I tell people I love ghost hunting and paranormal investigating and I love that stuff, people are like, that's terrifying. It's going to follow you home. What's going to follow me home? What's terrifying? What if I'm going to try to help some trapped soul? Like you said, a woman in white who lost her child and is looking for them and has no idea how to find them nor how to move on. You know what I mean?
Fun fact about that, talking about women in white. Fun fact, if you watched our show Ghost Loop, you realize on episode 4, we went head to head with Woman in White. And I ended up climbing my ass into a coffin to help break the loop. So for you, being able to be in each part of this, as like the old school way closed, that midway kind of open, and now it's this new scale we're in, what does that do for somebody like you to be able to pick those pieces apart?
I just, and again, it could just be me, but I just feel like I'm way more open-minded to what the hell a haunting could be. You know what I mean? A lot of people are set on a ghost or demon, or a set that it is some sort of, lore haunting. I think it can be freaking anything. And that's why investigations are investigations for me.
I got to say, back in the day, I think you would have been a lot more of a fan of ghost hunting back in the day. I'm going to take a moment because I want to talk about my heyday, like when I first came up, we first got popular in ghost hunting thing. And mind you, this is back in what, 05, 06? Like this is a long time ago, bro. Back then, when you were a ghost hunter, you were looking like you were a rock star. Because you're going one-on-one with demons, you're going one-on-one with the supernatural and all these different things. You have all this information about lore and religion and all the occult and all these things. So you get to walk around with a sense of like, yeah, I'm a fucking ghost hunter. I have a sense of pride that you're helping people. You know, you're answering questions. You know, you're getting people to that worst point in their life where they have no idea what the fuck's happening. And they're like, oh my God. And it felt like we were doing something. We were making this change. People look at us like, wow, I aspire to be that. What you're doing is incredible. You're helping people. You're doing this, you're doing that. And I feel like that's definitely not how ghost hunting is looked at nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, why do you think ghost hunting in 2022 is different than 2003, 2004, whatever you said? 20 years. Why?
Well, one, I think that we should have never had the internet as human beings. As human beings, we should never have access for a large group of us to have thoughts and be able to share those thoughts. I think that is one thing that, like, totally, hands down, 110% was like, okay, well, now we've ruined that. But more than that, I don't know. It's like, you know, let me put it in context. $100, and maybe you can talk about this a little bit too. There was $200 growing up for me in the paranormal when I grew up. Annabelle, Robert the Doll. That's it. Now every TikToker or ghost hunter has found $100 or found a demon doll or found something to that effect. And I just think that at this point it's become like a farce, a mockery of what it used to be. You know, back then, you know, we're looking for the woman in white. We're looking for, you know, the wraith or the boogeyman or whatever have you. And now it's like, let's do the best TikTok dance we can? Question mark.
Yeah, I think I completely agree. You know, even when I started investigating in like 2011, 2010, 2011.
Let's be real. Tell everybody how old you were when you first started that.
Yeah, I think this is
the beauty of it.
I started at about turning 17. So I was 16 turning 17. So 12 years ago, literally 12 years ago from like today. My first hunt was September 2010. And it was still cool. Like it was still very much, you know, you would go and we had the equipment that we talked about earlier in the podcast, and it was just a bunch of buddies who were interested in ghost hunting and the afterlife and finding out, you know, what's there, if it's real, having an experience. And now you go and it's all about, hey, how's my frame for my TikTok dance in the cemetery so I can get this many views, even though it's all about algorithms. It's all about, here, let me finish. It's all about, you know, we have had experiences where you and I wanted to help a client who was dealing with a very terrifying haunt, and people were there caring more about going live than they did actually talking to the client, getting evidence, gathering evidence. And that's when I was like, yeah, ghost hunting's definitely changed, even when I started at my age, you know.
Well, I remember that particular hunt you're speaking of. And one of the most beautiful things about you was I got to watch how somebody younger than I and somebody that was chill as hell picked up on that. Like you saw what was happening firsthand. You saw the TikTok versus helping the client, and you made that choice promptly without even question. There was no doubt in your head. You knew exactly what to do. So that was beautiful to see. So I know it's out there still, and it's still something that happens. But my God, man, like I thought that what we did was a public service, no different than EMS or no different than the cops, no different than the people that are paid to protect and serve. We have an abundance of knowledge on things of the paranormal realm. So our job is to use that knowledge to diagnose and help treat whatever's happening in somebody's life or house.
Or business, or business, whatever.
Yeah. But then it became about, one, who can do it better, right? Like this is my biggest pet peeve. That there's a certain and specific way to ghost hunt. You want to piss me off quicker than anything, you're going to tell me this is how you do it, and how you do it's not acceptable. And you know more than anybody how much that shit fires me up.
It fires me up too, especially now, especially hunting with you for as long as I have. Before it was like, okay, yeah, I understand. I guess I am doing it wrong. No, I'm not. I never will, and you never will. We hunt differently. You and I look at things differently, a lot the same. That's why we make such a good team. But if we do look at something differently, we don't sit there and say, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. We're like, all right, great. Let's be open to what each other thinks. And eventually we solve it together. And we have, again, watching our show Ghost Loop, even episode 6, me, we're sitting in the kitchen going back and forth on, okay, what is this spirit trying to say? And then you said something, and then I was thinking it, and it clicked, and no one in this world would have been in that investigation and thought and said what you and I thought and said. And that's when I knew, like, this dude is going to be the best ghost hunting partner I will ever have in my life. And you have been, and you always will be.
Oh, well, first off, I'm getting a little bit of a tear here.
Yeah, me too. That's it on Scary Hunters Underground.
A little bit of semi as well. Welcome back to Booze and Bros.
You too, bitch.
But what it boils down to me is, like, I look at the shit we did, and I look at, the demon voicemails, and I look at all the stuff that we saw and we endured. And there's some crazy shit. There's some weird shit that we had to go through. But I also look at things like this. We stood on the banks of the Green River where the first body dump of 4 women was found. How are you going to tell me that how I ghost hunt is wrong when I had to feel something that only a select few people in this world have been able to feel?
Very true.
How are you going to tell me that we ghost hunt wrong when I had a kid who shared the same suicide date as me, the same fucking date, just 1 year apart, and we saved him? To this day, he's still alive because of the shit you and I did. How are you going to tell somebody that the way they ghost hunt is wrong when you have all of these wins lined up one after another? That's my problem.
It's all in the stat book, dude. And all of those people who are like that, who say that, we know multiple people, and I'm not going to sit here and say, they're pieces of shit and, this and that. I just hope that they eventually one day realize what they're doing and what they're saying, and, find a way to just open up, man. Just be better, be a better person about it, allow people to explore the supernatural the way they want to explore it.
Well, and that makes you a better person. Because I hope their asshole falls out. That's just where I'm at with it. But you're right. When it comes to this journey of whether it be supernatural or religion or the occult or anything macabre, just anything in this realm that we deal in, people should be free to be able to experience it and learn at their own pace. The best thing I ever heard was para-unity, right? So para-unity is supposed to be the idea of all paranormal investigators coming together and working together for a better cause. So a doctor finds a cure for something and send an email out, bam, dispersing it to 10,000 of his buddies. Hey, dude, we found a cure for this. This works for this. Bam, 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 bam. And people start using that information. They start helping people. They start saving lives with that information. And ghost hunting, what do? Mine. Yeah. Pay $7,000 for it, and you might go look at it. That's when I realized that what we're in isn't about helping people. It's not about a public service. What we're in is a business. And you have to learn the business. We went on Ghost Loop. People can run their mouths, oh, it was fake, it was fake, it was fake. If it was fake, we had no fucking idea. Right? If it was fake and people were doing shit, we had no clue. We just went with what the evidence told us.
Right.
Is what it is. But the one thing I've learned in this business to this point is that people are going to bury each other. People are going to step on each other. People are going to push each other away. All for that 15 minutes of limelight of TV. And they don't realize what that looks like, right? They don't know what they have to sacrifice or give up or be a part of or have to deal with being a part of a show and all the things that come with that. You think you do. You think you know, but you don't.
Yeah.
Us as EPs now, we bust our ass and we're writing the best stories we can with the most lore and history and most accurate parts that we can.
Yeah.
That people are still like, oh, that was fucking fake.
Well, which is fine. Like we do it because it's our passion, and you're not only a ghost hunter anymore. You're now a filmmaker. Your
right.
partner is a filmmaker. I went to film school. Like, it is my passion. It's always been my passion. So it's not because fame and all that. That's not why I continue to research stories with you and come up with storylines and be, producers on stuff. That's just because that's what I love to do. It's not for.
But that's the thing. So we don't shoot like when we're going back and forth and we're talking about our ideas and our stories and we're talking about telling the best stories we can, right? We don't sit there and we don't put in our stories to paranormal points. Oh, Matt will talk to Ghost, scene 2, act 3.
Yeah.
We don't do that. The stories that the stories that we tell are the stories of the subject matter. And then for somebody to come out of the woodwork, oh, you're fake. You're a bastard. You fake that shit. No, we read through our text, our lore, and everything we could get our hands on to make sure that we accurately represented that story from start to finish. But in this business, that's not enough. In this business, if you're not shitting on the guy to your right, something's wrong with you.
That's a cold, hard truth. So Califf, what's up with you and ghost hunting right now and in the future? I would say more in the future because everyone knows right now we're trying to freaking hunt more together, investigate more together, which is another big reason why we come up with ideas so we can actually, get on the road and go to locations and investigate.
Well,
help
let's
people.
be real. Nobody pays me enough to hunt down here. But if I was to be honest and talk about hunting in the future, I know that in a couple of weeks I'll be down in Los Angeles. We have our stuff going on down there. We're gonna have a little bit of fun. We've got a lot of irons in the fire as far as projects and things moving forward, and people we're excited to work with. Actually, for the first time in a long time, we're really excited about the things that are coming from us. We're not settling. We're pushing forward to make sure the things that we're doing are things that we want to be doing, which I think tells an entirely different story. Now, hunting personally over here, like in Oregon, without you, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for me to hunt up here if I'm not hunting with you. Bottom line, if we take anything away from this, like this whole podcast about ghost hunting, trust the people in this business you work with.
Yes.
Trust those people. Understand what they want out of this business, understand what you want out of this business, and be honest about those things. And then that way the person that you work with in this business knows what you're after and they don't have to fucking guess.
Yes.
Because there's nothing worse than guessing.
Right. And it's all about wrapping it back to just plain ghost hunting and paranormal investigating. Always go with people that have your back, that you can trust. Because if you have that unity, you're going to capture evidence.
Lastly, the one thing I want to say moving forward is, we did say a lot of negative about ghost hunting, but there are still good people out there. There are still investigators out there that care about what they do and care about making this field and this industry a better place. And we see you and we respect you. And those who want to push things like lore and push things the right way. I mean, man, that's incredible stuff to still see after this many years, because you think that everybody had just gone,
Yep. But at the end of the day, it's just stick to the roots. And one thing that I say to the audience is just keep an open mind. Just keep an open mind. Because what do Califf and I always say? We don't know. We still don't know what happens when we die. It's all in theory. Just keep hunting. Keep hunting.
Simply put, we all got to be in this together. If we want to figure out that next step in the afterlife, it's time we start doing this together. Not fighting for likes or for more followers, but if we're in this to prove the afterlife, let's work together to prove the afterlife.
All right. On that note, happy spooky season. We'll see you next week.